It's not always obvious knowing when to stop querying a novel. You can reach a point in which you think, is this like too many rejections? Should I keep sending them out? Should I stop and revise and then start querying again? What should I do? There's not a super strong endpoint besides the endpoint of I've gotten an agent, or the endpoint of I have reached the end of the earth and I have somehow literally queried every single agent that has ever existed. Those are kind of the only two hard endpoints, but for a lot of people, there's a point before where they'll decide to stop querying and shelve a project altogether. For a bit of quick intro, when I'm talking about querying, this is the process in which as a writer you send query letters out to agents. These are essentially pitch letters that let the agent know some about your books so that they can eventually request to see more pages from you or the full manuscript, and eventually hopefully offer you representation. If you want to know more about my querying journey, you can check out this video up here about how I got my literary agent. But today I'm talking about 5 signs that it may be time to stop querying. I will start with this disclaimer because I know this is going to get brought up. There will always be unicorns. There will always be special snowflakes. There will always be outliers. There will always be that person that says, well, I sent out 500 queries and on my 501st query, I got an agent. Or I revised and queried on and off my book for 10 years and at the end I got an agent and I got an enormous book deal. There will always be those people, but for the average person, is that the experience they're having? Not necessarily. And so that's why this video is kind of giving you some ideas of signs that it may be time to stop querying a book, to shelve it, to put it aside. Maybe not forever, but maybe forever. But at the very least, stop actively querying it and start looking into querying a new book. The first sign that it may be time to stop querying is that you've already queried a huge number of agents. What is a huge number of agents? This is a good question because it's so subjective. Some people will say that like 60 agents is like a huge number for them. Some people will say 100. I have not heard anyone in real life say 200 for querying agents for one book, but maybe that person is out there. But essentially, I would say anything from I want to say 80 to 100 agents is like a very large amount of agents. And at that point, it's not to say that no other agent will ever accept you, but you've exhausted a large amount of the agents that you really wanted. So chances are in that list of 100 agents, probably only 30 are agents you really, really wanted to work with. And now you've gone past that. You've exhausted that level. And at that point, it may be time to stop querying because you've simply run out of options. You can resend your query to agents you've already queried, but it has to be really, really different for them to jump on board. And I find that most of the time, this does not work out. Like an agent has rejected the first time for a reason. And agents, the book isn't perfect when it goes to agents. A lot of agents are aware that your book will need work. And so it's not like you have this imperfect manuscript and then you make it better and you send it to them and they're like, oh, well, now everything is different. If they wanted that, they probably would have given you a revise and resubmit request. They would have asked you to fix X amounts of things and that you would have gone off and fixed those and you would have sent it back to them. If they rejected it outright, it's likely because they don't see any way that you're going to fix it, that it's going to become appealing to them. And so that makes it really difficult to resend those things to agents later. And again, there's always special unicorns. There's always a special unicorn that goes off and they queried an agent. The agent wanted nothing to do with their manuscript. And then they go and they make all these changes and they show it to the agent. And suddenly everything is different and the agent signs them. But again, this is not about exceptions. This is about the masses. And a good way to know that maybe it's time to stop querying is that you have queried too many agents. The second sign that it may be time to stop querying is that you start to go in circles with your edits to the point where you've lost the heart of the story and why you like the story. So for example, you send out your query to 20 agents and you get feedback from like 4 or 5, because chances are not everyone's going to actually give you feedback, and they say, you know what, I think your main character is too aggressive, they're not likable, and so I don't want to work with you on this manuscript. Okay, so you take that advice back, you edit your manuscript, you make the character more likable, you think, in your head. You send out to another 20 agents, 4 or 5 again, get back to you with feedback. I think this character is too passive. I really wanted to like them, but they were so passive that I really couldn't connect with them. Okay, so you go back, you edit it, you try and make the character a bit more aggressive, and then you get that same character's too aggressive feedback, and you start going in this circle of trying to appeal to the agents, trying to get the character the way you feel an agent wants it, and you've lost what you liked about the character. And this is kind of a sign it may be time to stop querying, because you've gotten to the point in your story where you've lost the heart of it yourself, you've lost what's connected you to that story, and you've gotten caught in this trap of feedback and just trying to change whatever to appeal to agents. Agents have great feedback and it should help make your story better, but if you find that the feedback and you trying to appeal to all this circle feedback that just puts you in a circle of doing edits that you don't truly believe in, then that may be time to stop querying the project. Again, maybe you'll reconnect to that heart of your story, but querying is so draining. And once you get to like 3/4 stages of edits, of doing the same edit over and over again and trying to get a different result from agents, it can be so tiring, it can be so draining that it may be time to stop querying that project at that point, just for your own well-being and the well-being of your story. Because if you've lost that connection to it, it's going to be really difficult to keep going on that querying journey. Third sign that it may be time to stop querying is that you are hearing often that what you are pitching is a hard sell, or that it's difficult to place in the market, or it's really hard to sell right now. This is a sign, again, I'm going to bring up the unicorn thing because I know someone's going to be out there and they're going to be like, but, and I especially feel like saying this because I was told that a genre mix was a hard sell and I sold a genre mix book. There are people out there that will still be able to push hard sells. They'll be able to put it out in a different way. I'm not telling you not to write something that is a difficult sell, because you kind of got to write what makes you happy. And if it's a hard sell, you know that you're going to have a harder journey up front, and that's just the way of the world. But if you find that you're getting told this over and over and over and over again from all different agents, and the number of agents you're querying is stacking up, that may be a sign that it's time to stop querying. Again, maybe not forever, because you never know. The topic that you're writing about may be a hard sell now, but maybe a breakout book comes out in that series and suddenly everybody wants that, and then you can get back on querying that project, in which case it may be worth it to query all those agents that said I really like it but hard sell, because now it's not a hard sell anymore. So shelving a book and stopping querying it doesn't mean that you have to stop it forever. Sometimes it may just mean putting it on a shelf until the market shifts a bit. It may even mean putting it on a shelf until you have success with a different project, and then a publisher is more likely to take a chance on you with a more risky topic because you've sold so well in something else. So that may be another sign that it's time to stop querying. The fourth sign. So this is in regards to CP and beta feedback. So you've been querying for a bit, you may be revising in between, sending it to beta readers and CPs as you should to get great feedback. And you've reached a point where the feedback that betas or CPs are giving to you is, one, very little. They don't have a lot of criticism. It's mostly either good or all right feedback with nothing really that you can fix. the feedback they're giving you is feedback you mostly don't agree with. So instead of getting a large amount of feedback where you're like, okay, this and this and this and this and this, you find that you mostly don't agree with anything they're saying. You're like, I actually don't want to change things like that. I actually don't think this is necessary. The feedback you're getting is extremely nitpicky. Like they have almost no big picture changes. It's all just like your little grammar mistakes. And like, I think she said this place was called this over here, but over here she said it was called this other thing. It's not really big things that might shift an agent's opinion of your story. It's like tiny things like grammar that you can fix in 2 seconds without thinking a lot about it. So this is really because you may reach a point in which betas and CPs can't find anything that you need to fix in your story. It becomes so subjective. So the quality of your story is great, but it's subjectiveness in the topic. So maybe the topic you're doing is simply, maybe it's been done before, maybe it's not capturing the attention of people the way you thought it would. But when you reach that point, then that may be a time to stop querying, because you've reached a point in edits where you don't really have anything more to edit. You are grappling with the fact that there's nothing else for you to change in your story without basically changing it to the point where you have a brand new story. So that wall you hit where it's like, I can't revise anymore and I don't know how to make this story better in any way. In which case, if you're querying and you're still getting rejections and you don't know how to make the story better in any way, where is there to go from there, right? So that's the next sign, I would say. The last sign that it may be time to stop querying is that you're tired of querying. Yeah, like honestly, stopping querying isn't quitting. Sometimes you just need to stop. I remember for the second book I had written that I will actually never go back to. That's a book that I shelved that I have no interest in going back to for multiple reasons. But I just got tired of querying. I was querying it on and off for 2 years. I had edited it what felt like 6-7 times at the pre-querying stage. And it just like, I didn't know how to make it better. And I was just tired of sending it out to agents and knowing they were going to reject it and then getting a rejection in my email and being like, well, there it is. Like, you can get tired of querying, you can get burnt out on querying. And the thing is, when you're querying a new project, there can be so many exciting new feelings, there's so much potential. And when you get to the point where you've been querying a project for a long time, the hope has dwindled so much and the potential that you felt is so far gone that you can just be burnt out and just want to stop for your own well-being. Again, this doesn't mean you never ever come back to this project. It just means that you have stopped querying that project for now and you're going to focus efforts on a new project, and that's great. And that's really what I think. If you need to stop querying, then stop querying. It's totally okay. I don't know why there seems to sometimes be this whole thing in the writing community about like, if you stop doing something, you've quit. And like, no, you don't have to quit. You can keep going. Just keep going forever. Keep going. Sometimes you need to stop. And it's the same with querying. Sometimes you just need to stop querying. So if you're tired of it, that's a big reason to stop. And those are the 5 reasons it may be time for you to stop querying. What are your reasons that you've stopped querying in the past? Please comment with them. I think that would be really cool to hear from everybody. And again, if you're at a point in your journey where you have to stop querying, that's perfectly okay. If you have the bandwidth and mental capacity, I would encourage starting a new project, getting in with something fresh and going for it again. Again, only if you feel like it, because it is okay to quit. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel. I post all sorts of things about writing and publishing. I do interviews and like talks with other authors, and I have a bunch of stuff on querying if that's something you're interested in as well. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!